Hi, we are going to take a look at macros in Excel. Macros are nothing but mini programs which are written in a language called Visual Basic for Analytics, that is VBA. This is the ideally suited language for Excel and even other MS Office applications. For those of you who are familiar with programming, there was another language called Basic and Visual Basic. VBA is pretty similar to it, and by simply observing the code, you can pick up very easily this programming language too. Now, where do we use macros? Whenever there is a need to do repeated tasks, like for example, you are required to furnish reports every week or every day or every fortnight, and the format is similar, so you don't want to waste time doing it every single occasion. For that, we could make a small mini program called macro and save it with some name. And then simply by clicking, you will be able to produce these reports in no time. Now, you might think that you will have to learn programming language to make macros. No, Excel has made a beautiful feature of recording the actions and converting them into a programming code in VBA. So, all you need to do is whatever actions you are required to take repeatedly, just perform them once and record it as a macro and save it with some name. That's all. So, whatever actions you have done will get saved after having got converted into the programming code, which later on, by a simple click of the mouse, will execute and carry out all your tasks. Okay, let us see it. I will move on to a fresh sheet. All right. So, this is a fresh sheet. Now, firstly, please observe this tab developer. Click on developer and you will find here first section called code. This is where you will find macros and record macro and also visual basic. That shows the code of the macro, right? Then there is use relative reference. We are going to look at it as we record the macro. Okay. Now, first of all, if you click on macros, it will produce a window and show you what all macros are already saved into the sheet. Certain macros have been already made and saved with these names. So we can simply select them and click on run to get the job done. Let us say we want to make a table. Repeatedly, we are required to make a table to furnish some report. So we will choose make table and run. Okay. We have got a beautiful table made over here. Can you see serial number, name, roll number, percent, right? So you could pretty much prepare a table like this and by a click you can run it. Let us move on to another sheet, okay, and try out another macro. So click on macros, it will show several macros, okay. Now, there is a macro called title format. So I'm just going to click on title format and click run. Okay. It has produced another table which is a EMP data with EMP ID, EMP name, date of birth, basic salary, and so on. And it is already formatted how I wished. Yes. And now it is easy for me to prepare the table by typing into it, right? Isn't this very easy? Now, these have been already prepared. How to actually do it? Let us move on to another fresh sheet and see how we can do the macros. So under the developer tab, so you are on a fresh sheet. Let me make it look a little bigger. Okay. You're on a fresh sheet now, sheet 5. Under developer, please notice record macro. You have to just click it. It's as simple as that. Moment you click, you perform all the things that you need to do. And those actions will get recorded and then stop recording. Okay, so let us try it. I'm just going to click record macro. It's macro 1. You could give it a name. Okay, I'm just going to call it hi. Okay, all right, and I'm just going to click. You could write some description here, but I'm not going to write. This is for understanding as to what this macro does. Since it is only for testing, I'm not going to do this. I'm simply going to click OK. That's it. Please notice what has happened. Nothing has happened actually. The symbol over here has got changed because it is macro is already recording. Okay, I'm not doing any actions. I'm simply moving my mouse. Even this is getting recorded, right? So when I click stop recording, it is going to stop recording. All right, so now what I will do is I will just type something over here. Okay, hi, how are you doing? Okay, let me just format it, make it a bit bigger and make it bold and make it italics, right? So I have just typed some message and these are the actions that I have performed and I have recorded. Remember, I need to go back to developer and just click on stop recording. That's all. My macro has been recorded, right? Shall we see if it is working? Let us move on to a new sheet. Okay, so this is the new sheet, and what you need to do is go to macros and look at the names. Okay, I have recorded a new macro called hi, so I'll just select hi and click on run. That's it. Hi, how are you doing? So if this kind of task was required to be performed every day, you could be preparing a table, you could be making a pivot table report, you could be making a chart, anything, whatever you do, it is simply recording. That's all. So if you know how to do a task, just do it once and save it with some name. And that's it. Uh, Macro is going to take care of it. You have to just click one by selecting the macro and the tasks is going to be performed. Okay. Let me just delete it and see what happens. Delete, right? Nothing is on this sheet now. Again, I go to, okay. Again, I go to macros and click on hi and run. And there it is. Okay. All right. Now, need to know something about use relative reference. Relative reference means when you start recording, if you shift to some other cell and then perform actions, it will start happening those actions from that cell. Otherwise, by default, it will happen from the cell in which you have recorded. Let us try and do it again. Okay, I'm on a new sheet and I'm just going to make it a little bigger. But now this time I'm going to click on use relative reference. Okay. Now you can see it is highlighted, use relative reference, and I'll simply go ahead by recording the macro, right? I'm going to call it hi, uh, hi 2. Okay. This is another macro, so I'm just calling it hi 2 and I'll click OK, right? Okay, I think 2 is not permitted, so I'm just going to hi hello. Okay, hi and hello is a name being given now and click OK. So I have to start recording now. Remember, I am presently in the cell A1, but I want to shift it elsewhere because I want to do it in somewhere in the middle of the sheet, so I'll come to F1. Okay, hi. Good evening. All right. So this is a simple message I have given and I'm just going to make it little bigger, change the font, probably change the color also, right? Hi, good evening. Now I need to go and stop recording, right? So I have stopped recording. Let us move on to a new sheet and see whether this macro works and how. Okay, so now I'm in this cell where A6, right? So again, I'll go to macros, and now I'm choosing hi hello. Okay, and I'm going to run it. Note I'm presently in A6, so I run, right? See what has happened? It has moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It had moved to F6. That is what is known as use relative reference. You moved 6 cells to the right, so wherever the cursor was, it moved 6 cells to the right. So that is how you could use relative reference. Shall we try it once? Now I'll be in this cell, and again I'm going to go to macros and click hi hello and run. See, I was here, it has moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like correct. So this is how a relative reference is used. Okay. Now, important thing is, what is this code about? If you wish to see the code, you could go and click on Visual Basic. So when you click on Visual Basic, you'll find so many things over here, correct? Those of you who are not familiar will find it a bit confusing, but never mind. Go to modules. Okay, modules is where the coding is written. Module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4, module 5, whatever modules we have made. I'm going to go to the last module, module 5, and double click, right? So so under the module 5, you will find here the coding. Okay, what is the coding? Sub hi. Sub means a subroutine or the name of the procedure. It is a procedure and the name is hi. Remember, we named the macro as hi. Then we made another macro and named it as hi hello, correct? So this is sub and hi, that is the first macro. It is telling it is hi macro, and this is sub hi hello, and under comments it is telling hi hello macro, right? And this is how the code has been generated by Excel as we kept on recording. And if you carefully read it, you will find it is not very difficult to understand. Range A1 dot select. That means we have selected cell A1. That was the active cell. Then active cell dot formula R1C1 is equal to. That means in that cell we are writing some content. Hi, how are you doing? And then again we have selected that cell, and we have selection dot font dot size equal to 12, 14, 16. Why did we do it so many times? We could have typed 24, it would have become one line. But we kept on saying increase font. So it has converted each of the actions into one, right? So once you are seeing this, you could see similar thing for hi hello also. Okay, active cell dot offset 05 dot range A1 dot select. That means offset function is being used over here. It says 0 and 5, that means move 5 cells to the right. So wherever your active cell is there, like it was A1, then it is going to move 5 cells to the right, whichever is the active cell. And then keep on typing, just like what we did here. It says hi, good evening, and so on. Increase the font and make it bold. So here it has made other things. I'm not going to spend much time, but if you do spend time, you'll be able to pretty much understand how the coding is there, and you can modify the coding also. For example, you could change this text, and instead of good evening, you might get something else, right? And similarly, you could increase the font to 24 or 25 and just save it. So macro would get saved, right? Now, how do we go back to Excel? How do we go back to Excel? Okay. So go to file. Okay. Go to view, okay, and Microsoft Excel, right? So this is our view. Now another important thing, when you save this file, this is the most important thing, please remember, when you save an Excel file which contains a macro or a program, it needs to be saved with a different extension. So I'm just going and saying it as save as. Okay, let me go to desktop. Okay, now please see what is the thing. Save as type Excel macro enabled workbook. Okay, so this particular workbook was macro enabled workbook, so therefore it is saved as Excel macro enabled workbook. Okay, and its extension is .xlsm. Okay, for a normal Excel sheet, it is .xlsx, but macro enabled workbook, it is .xlsm. If you don't save as like this, all your macro will be lost. So it is very important. I'm just going to show it to you how it works. So first, let me take it. So I'm just going to call it macro notes on desktop. Okay, macro notes on desktop. So and I'm going to save it as Excel macro enabled work would save, right? I'm going to close this file and go to desktop. So see the extension over here. See this. This is Excel, normal Excel file. Okay, Microsoft Excel worksheet. And come on to this. It says Microsoft Excel macro enabled worksheet, correct? So I'm going to open this and just see what happens whenever you open any Excel sheet which contains a macro. Potentially, any program can be harmful. Therefore, it is catered by Microsoft to give a warning. It says security warning. Macros have been disabled, enable content. So, if you want to run it without macros, you will be safe. But if you are familiar, yes, this is a good and safe file. You can enable content. Now your macros are going to work. Just try it once. I'm going to go here and go to developer and macros and just take something titles and run it. So here it's working, right? All right, shall we try something else? Let us go to file and save as, again this PC. Okay, or let me go to desktop only. It's easier, right? Okay, so it's going on desktop, macros notebooks desktop. Okay, so I'm going to call it macros notebook desktop 1. Okay, but this time I'm going to save it as a normal Excel file. Okay, Excel workbook. So this is saved as a normal Excel workbook. Okay, and its file name is macros notes desktop 1 and save. It is giving a warning. The following features cannot be saved in macro free workbook. So VB project, etc. That means your macro is basically not going to work. To continue saving as a macro free workbook, click yes. Yes, I want it macro free. So I'm just going to save it yes. Right. So I'll click here. You will find on desktop, same file here. It is a macro uh, it is a macro enabled workbook. You can see the symbol little different, and come on to this, and it is macro fee. I'm going to open this file. It is exactly the same file. Let us try and see where are the macros in this. So developer, and I'll go to macros. There are no macros. We have lost them because we saved it as a normal Excel file. Okay, remember this important thing, that whenever you record macros, please save as macro enabled Excel worksheet. That's it. It's a wonderful feature, isn't it? Yes, if you find this useful, click the like. If you wish to catch several such videos, hit subscribe. For notifications, ring the bell and share this so that others too can watch. Bye.